calories. Another hot topic in there is alcohol, right? So here's a paleo one I love telling. People be like, beer's not paleo? Yeah, fuck that, I'm not paleo either, you know? And just be like, and I tell people, you can decide to eat quality and drink beer. You can do that, right? Well, yeah, I mean, it's not even balanced, it's just that you have choices, you know?
Stuck in this one way for
yeah, I talk about like,
years.
well, I talk about, you know, being gluten-free. You know, beer is not paleo because it's got gluten in it for the most part, right? But I tell people, gluten-free is not just about the fact that it's inflammatory for your digestive system, but it's high in carbohydrates, right? A lot of the gluten-filled products, such as beer, bread, pasta, are not just, you know, hard to digest for a lot of people or inflammatory, but it's really high in carbohydrates. So when people are trying to balance their diet out, it makes sense to reduce that stuff, right?
Or a lot of empty calories.
Well, right. You don't get much out of it.
Yeah, nothing, no nutrition.
So within the world of alcohol, here's one of our general recommendations, or a couple of our general recommendations. One, look at alcohol like a food. Okay, meaning the less carbohydrate, right? It's typically going to be beneficial for most people. If you can have a gluten-free alcohol, less inflammatory for you. Alcohol is better drank in the middle of the day. So daytime drinking is recommended versus drinking before you go to bed. Because why?
Because then you're not having it sit in your stomach.
Well, alcohol shuts off a lot of those good things that happen while we sleep, like human growth hormone release, testosterone release, all the reasons that we're training. It actually reduces that by up to 70%. So I tell people, it's not even just about getting drunk, but if you drink right before you know, that wind down drink, and you do that every day, you're not getting those benefits while you sleep, all those good, you know, the muscle growth that you're looking for, the fat loss that you're looking for. So just saying, like, you know, I'm gonna reduce the amount that I'm drinking right before I go to bed. I'm gonna wait for the weekend, right? Little decisions like that. Okay. The story I always tell about alcohol. I'm from Chicago, and you know, I grew up drinking beer. All my buddies, and I had digestive issues for a while. And I went gluten-free, and part of that was for me to stop drinking beer. And I go back to Chicago, hang out with my boys, and I'm like, oh guys, I'm not drinking beer anymore. And they're all, you know, I'm drinking tequila. And they're all like, fucking LA. You know, like, you go to LA, now you're not drinking beer, drinking tequila. I'm like, oh, it's, you know, makes me feel better. You should try it. You know, I don't have bad hangover, and I don't feel bloated, and all these things. And I'm like, you know, I explain to all them why I'm doing it. And they, you know, give me shit, but years go by, and this is just who I am. I say, I'm an interesting human being. And after you have a couple of drinks, no one gives a shit. Really. No one cares. Right? No one cares at all. But a couple of years go by, and this is kind of a gluten story as well. And most of my friends have kids. And my best friend from high school, went to college together, he's got a kid. And from the day this kid was born, he's had like ear, nose, throat infections. He has asthma, needs to be put on his inhaler, been in the hospital like on steroids and all types of stuff, this kid. And all my friends watch this kid suffer, you know, through this. And when he's 3 years old, a doctor says, have you tried putting him on a gluten-free diet? So the mom puts him on a gluten-free diet, and in 2 weeks, he's better. And it's basically sent a shockwave through my friends. They all have kids. And they thought, oh my God, this kid's not a fucking hippie. He's not making this shit up, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, gluten-free bullshit, right? And there's studies that say one way or the other, but this kid got better. And he's not making this shit up. And everyone recognized, one, oh my God, what I feed my kids, what am I doing? And food matters. That's what they all learned. And then they, you know, a bunch of them reached out to me and asked me, like, oh yeah, he's been saying this for years, right? And so what happened? What did they do? They didn't have like a conference or anything, but basically what happened was a lot of them made the decision to reduce the amount of gluten in their life, which meant they reduced the amount of beer that they were drinking. So instead of drinking beer every day, a lot of them reduced that, and they just decided to save it for the weekend or save it for special events. And most of them felt better. A lot of them lost weight. And they didn't change their lives completely. So you decide to be healthy. You know, I tell you, there's a lot of social pressure out there, cultural pressure to eat a certain way or behave a certain way. Just know you have a lot of choices. Every day, every meal, you can decide, what am I going to do for myself? And know that those decisions are not always going to be popular. Even though you're doing it to make yourself healthy, your friends and family might not support that decision because they don't understand it. Or they might feel like you're judging them if you're doing it. Like, oh, I don't drink beer. Oh, what? So I drink beer, I'm an asshole? Right? It's kind of that attitude. And just know that you're going to deal with that, but know that you have a lot of choices. So it's an important thing to understand, okay?